Okay, hello again everybody. I'm going to make a sort of a remake of not so much a video that I did a couple of years ago, but the subject it covered. I've watched the video and it has had quite a few views, and there's been a few remarks about, bad lighting and this and that and the other. And I've watched it again and realised that there's a couple of things that I wasn't too clear about, so I'd like to try and sort of do a remake of it if possible. So here goes. But basically, it's about the Amal Concentric carburettors, the Mark 1s in particular. Some of it could apply to the Mark 2s as well, actually. But the Mark 1s seem to be the ones that get the trouble. And that is always, you get people saying that they get difficult starting and spitting back and the engine won't tick over, and the engine runs a lot happier if there's a choke fitted, if the choke slide is closed, and that all points to the well known actually blocked pilot passageway that you can get on these. They are prone to blocking. Now some people say that they're a crap carburetor. They're not a crap carburetor, it's just that the layout of the pilot circuit is prone to getting blockages, but it's easy to clear them, and I just wonder how many of these carburetors may well have gone in the bin because of this. In the early days, myself included, I took one off a Tiger Cub years ago and put a monoblock on instead of it, because I just thought, oh, this carburetor is terrible, I can't live with this. But it's all down to the pilot passageway, and hopefully you'll be able to see there. Now, depending on whether you've got a left-handed or a right-handed one, that'll dictate whether the mixture and throttle stop screws are on the left or the right, but basically they work the same, they're just the opposite way around. Now see these two passageways here, only one of them gets used depending on which hand the carburetor is. Now in this case, the mixture screw and the throttle stop screw are on the right hand side of the carburetor, so the pilot passageway goes right across from the pilot screw there, the mixture screw, across through there. See that sort of pressed in penny thing there? We'll come to that shortly as well. And then see that 90-degree turn there? Well, that is where the trouble usually manifests itself, because it's a sharp little 90-degree turn and it's not a very big bore at all, and what tends to happen is you'll get a blockage there, and that's it, your pilot circuit is out of action. No amount of twiddling the mixture screw one way or the other will make a blind bit of difference. There's a blockage there, and that's what you have to clear usually. From there it turns the 90 degrees when it's working properly and goes along here, and there's an opening there, which in the case of this carburetor there's actually a little screw in pilot jet that fits there. Not all of them have it, and if it has got one, to do this job you really want to take it out. Obviously make sure the jet itself is clear if you've got one, but take it out for the purpose of clearing this. And what I like to do first, and I've got this bit of, it takes quite a few goes sometimes, I've got this thin bit of copper wire which is pretty harmless to the small passageways, and if you sort of gauge, you can sort of see how far in you need to go with it. You got to get to that 90-degree bend. So I hold the wire, we can see the length of wire I've got sticking out from my finger and thumb, between my finger and thumb, so that hopefully my finger and thumb will come to a more or less a stop in the pilot screw passageway, and I'll know that I'm there. There we are. I'm all the way through with that. So that is clear. If it wasn't clear, it is now. Now when I've got the wire pinched tightly between my finger and thumb, I'll pull it out and we'll have a look and see how much of it we've got. There. So I know that that wire has gone right through to where the 90-degree bend takes place, and obviously where any blockage usually takes place. So that's clear. Now this passageway, like I said, takes a 90-degree turn and goes along here, links up with this one. It also connects up with one of these. Now in the case of this one, obviously it's going to be this opening here that we've got. So if I put my thumb over that and get my friend Mr. WD-40 can here, put the pipe into the pilot screw hole, I should be able to blast WD-40 and see it coming out of here if everything's clear. Let's have a look. As it happens, it looks like we don't. Let's see. Oh, I know what I've done, of course. Silly me. I went past, obviously pushed the pipe in beyond. Okay, well we'll go the other way. We'll go... See, I don't tell anybody I'm an expert. There we are. They're communicating. That's what we want. And if I put this pipe in here, we'll see it communicating with where the pilot jet lives. There we are. So all that's clear. So that's no problem, but there is one other matter, and this is the one that I didn't mention in my last video. And I'll just give my hands a wipe and get my head torch on to try and show this one. Now there's two little pinprick holes, and they are literally pinpricks. Let's get some extra light on the subject here and I'll try and show where they are. In the carburetor, on the engine side, the engine end of it, you got one tiny little hole there, little bleed hole, which is on the engine side of the throttle slide, and you've got another one on the inner side of the throttle slide. You've got two of them. They're about 1/4 of an inch apart, and they live right above that sort of pressed in penny I was talking about earlier. And if either or both of them get blocked, then your pilot passageway won't do anything. And what I do, now whether I can demonstrate this and whether it'll be seen or not, is get my wire and bend about 3/4 of an inch of the end of it, like that, and then get hold of it in between the tips of some pointy nose pliers. And what you should be able to do is just sort of feed it in there, and you can just about see, and you can eventually, after a few goes, quite a few goes in my case here probably, let's see, I might have to try and get that in there first and then sort of demonstrate. Like I say, it's a fiddle, it's a faff. There. I've got the wire going down into one of those little bleed holes. Whether anyone can see that or not is another matter. But I have. There's two of them, and you need to make sure that they are clear as well. Let's see if I can point to them at least with this. There's one. Just there. And the other one is just there. And like I say, by whatever means you've got, I can and do use this wire for it, but like I tried to demonstrate there, and I couldn't get very good light on it to sort of show everybody, but you need to make sure that those two little holes there, that's it, one there and one there, they absolutely must be clear as well. If they're not, your pilot passageway and mixture screw and pilot jet, anything and everything, are not going to work at all. But if you've got them clear and all those passageways I just explained about before clear, then you're good to go, and you should be able to set a good smooth steady tick over, of course assuming that your ignition timing and everything else about the engine is pretty healthy. and your Mark 1 Concentric will be good to go, and it'll probably work and give you a good reliable tick over at 1 to 1.5 turns out of the mixture screw. Now I'll just put this pilot jet back in. I suppose as I'm only demonstrating I don't need to worry about it, but I'll just have a look and see if I can see it's clear or blow through it. And then we know that the pilot circuit on this Mark 1 Concentric is all ready to go, and we should get a good starting and a good tick over from it. And like I say, regardless of whether it has a pilot jet fitted here or not, that is the critical area, that 90-degree turn. Or like I say, if the screws were on this side, it would be that 90-degree turn. It's one or the other. It's always the one that's furthest away from the screws that's in use, and that 90-degree turn is where you get the blockage occurring. That's the main and major culprit, but also if that doesn't fix it, it'll be because those little bleed holes that I just pointed out there may also, or will also, be blocked. You got that lot clear, you got a good carburetor, and no need to throw your Mark 1 Concentric in the bin. Just as long as that lot's in order, it'll be fine, I promise you.